This podcast is brought to you by Legend Comics and Coffee in Omaha, Nebraska, located in scenic downtown Benson. They got a new location. It's absolutely gorgeous. Check it out. And by listeners like you. Go to Patreon/Two-Headed Nerd. Become a patron. Support this show.
Once, they were two best friends managing a comic book store. But when an innocent blood oath went wrong, the two found themselves trapped in the same body, imprisoned in a strange pyramid made of long boxes, buried deep below their hometown, where they are doomed to discuss comic books until the end of time. They were once Joe and Matt. Now they are known as the Two-Headed Nerd. And this is their podcast.
Broadcasting from the Ziggurat at Omaha in caverns deep below the metro area, where the new president's secret police will have to come pry our banned comics from our cold dead hands.
We're completely off the grid down here, so I'm not concerned at all.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Good luck to all you fools up there. We're trapped in a pyramid of comic book long boxes.
Yeah. Have fun, suckers. We're living the high life down here. It's our pleasure to welcome you to episode 759 of the Two-Headed Nerd Comic Book Podcast. I'm your head number one, the internet's Joe Patrick.
I'm your head number two. My name is Matt Baum. In this dimension-hopping back-issue show, our sentient cosmic longbox had us read 8 intercompany crossovers so we can talk about the delicate balancing act creators have to perform when heroes meet heroes from the other side. Like, you can't have Vin Diesel beating up The Rock in the Fast Furious movies. It doesn't look good if Batman cuts Wolverine in half, you know, or vice versa.
I think it's more likely the other way. But yeah. After that, we'll set you up with our must-read picks for next week's new comics. But now, have you ever wondered what would happen if the Hulk fought Superman? Or if he also fought Batman? Or if Wolverine fought Captain Kirk? These are the questions we'll answer.
Well, he fights Spock, to be fair. He doesn't fight Kirk. He does fight Spock.
Well, yeah, he does fight Spock. Well, get ready to sort of almost find out, because it's issue time in the Ziggurat.
Our Cosmic Longbox came up with a real doozy of a theme, this time inspired by our Amalgam theme from episode 757, now streaming on quality podcast apps and YouTube. Sure, it's fun to thoughtlessly smash characters together and give them terrible names, but nerds get even more excited when you take a character from one company and make them fight a character from another. It's like clanking action figures together, right? At least that's how it usually starts. The characters meet, there's a misunderstanding, they tussle, and ultimately team up to fight a threat from each of their companies that is combined and has to be stopped. Sometimes there's a doohickey that knocks a character into another universe. Other times, the creators just said, fuck it, they've always lived together. And sometimes it doesn't make any sense at all. One thing is for certain, these crossovers are not guaranteed to be good. Macho, please fetch the pile selected by the Cosmic Longbox.
As you wish, Sir Matt. But might I say these comics are extremely hard to file by category or alphabetically?
Oh, when we're done, just file them under N for nonsense.
Excellent idea, sir.
First up is one of the OGs, not the OG, because, you know what, I'll get into that.
I was going to say, is this not the first one, technically?
It is not the first one.
Okay.
But the book I chose to cover first is Marvel Treasury edition number 28, which obviously was published by Marvel in 1981. This book teams up Superman and the Amazing Spider-Man. It's written by Jim Shooter with plot suggestions by Marv Wolfman. Thanks, I guess, Marv.
Like, they needed Marv there to make sure, like, Spider-Man didn't make Superman look bad. You know, like, can you just make sure they're not doing anything with, like, Spider-Man him or something?
Yeah, you don't want Spider-Man to cut Superman's head off.
No, the amazing decapitating Spider-Man.
That's right, the decapitating Spider-Man. Yeah, pencils are by Big John Buscema. Figure inks by Joe Sinnott. And get ready for this motley crew. Background inks by Terry Austin, Klaus Janson, Bob McLeod, Al Milgram, Steve Leialoha, Walt Simonson, Bob Layton, Joe Rubenstein, and Bob Wyacek.
Why are these all like this? They're all like this.
Not a loser in the bunch, though.
No, but still, like, how much these guys get paid? Each dude got like $2 for this issue? What?
I mean, it's a thick comic. It's every bit of 64 pages, but still.
So many of these have so many inkers. It's crazy.
Oh, see, mine didn't.
Well, I've got you beat later on, so.
Oh, well, I can't wait. Colors are by Glynis Wein, who I believe colors about 75% of the comics we're going to cover today.
Isn't she Len Wein's wife?
I always thought that she was Len Wein's wife, but I don't know that for sure. I mean, I'm sure that's true.
Let me check it out.
Letters are by Joe Rosen. This painted cover, a beautiful painted cover by Bob Larkin, over pencils by John Romita Sr.
Glynis Wein, now Glynis Oliver, for years was married to Len Wein. There you go.
Oh, but not anymore.
Not no more. They had a falling out.
Okay, there you have it.
It's nobody's business but theirs.
Yeah, exactly. Except for the internets, because you just aired it out for... aired it out there for everybody.
All it says is for years she was married to Len Wein. That's all. It's not like
okay.
Len was a real asshole. Like,
I mean, Len Wein is dead now, so yeah. I guess we can talk shit.
Len couldn't keep his hands to himself, Joe.
Stop. We don't know. So here is some background setup for you. Superman and Spider-Man are teaming up again, and this time they're bringing their friends along for the ride. When the Fantastic Four arch foe and megalomaniacal supervillain Dr. Doom embarks on his latest attempt at conquering the world, he unleashes the powerhouse known as the Incredible Hulk on the unsuspecting people of Metropolis. As Superman battles the Green Goliath, he fails to notice that the resultant destruction frees his old foe, the energy-draining Parasite, from his underground cell. Yikes.
This one has it all. They just happen to live together. They're two of their villains are there.
Was coincidentally nearby.
Yeah.
After deducing that Dr. Doom had a hand in the Hulk's attack, Superman sets up shop in New York City. Meanwhile, Spider-Man, in his guise of newspaper photographer Peter Parker, ventures to Metropolis on assignment for the Daily Bugle. Guest starring Wonder Woman. For some reason.
I get my point is
She's in here for 5 minutes and then she's gone.
This is one of the crossovers where, fuck it, they just live in the same city. They're on the same world.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
This is actually the second Superman Spider-Man crossover. The first one came out in 1976. It's written by Jerry Conway and art by Ross Andrew. But this is the one I remember seeing ads for as a little kid and having my tiny little mind blown that such a thing was even possible.
This is probably
it's etched into my brain, this cover of Superman and Spider-Man descending on Dr. Doom and the Parasite.
This is the most famous one, right?
I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
And I looked back at the first one, the other Superman Spider-Man one from 76. It's got Lex Luthor. It's got the Joker, I'm pretty sure, but it's not really that great.
I mean, fair. Well, let's talk about this one.
And so that's why I picked this one.
Okay.
Also, fun fact, this is not the 1976 Superman Spider-Man book was not the first Marvel DC crossover. Do you know what was? I thought this was obviously. We were just a minute ago. Yeah, I know.
I thought it was this. So no, I don't know what it is.
It was the Wizard of Oz Treasury edition reprint that was co-published by Marvel and DC that predates that Superman Spider-Man one-shot.
Spider-Man was the Scarecrow, and the Scarecrow was the Cowardly
I don't think
Lion,
anything like that happened.
But Batman was the Tin Man. It was great. It was great.
Yeah, exactly. This opens up with like a split page origin of both main heroes. I thought that was very effective.
It was fun.
I believe the art in this page is by George Perez.
Yeah, the origins are great. They're just like, hey kids, never heard of Spider-Man? Yeah. I love whenever they do these, the Marvel people assume you've never heard of Spider-Man, and the DC people are like, okay, you've probably never heard of Superman, so let us give you a little background.
Yeah, that's true. As Matt said, this is one of the several crossovers that we'll address this week where the story just imagines that they live in the same world.
Sure.
That it's like Superman lives in Metropolis, Spider-Man lives in New York. Of course they've heard of each other, but hey.
Yeah, and it's got to be a thing where it's like, oh, how do we get Superman and Spider-Man together? And they thought about it. They smoked a bunch of cigars, drank some bourbon, and they're like, I don't know, fuck it. They just live together.
I mean, despite the fact that DC had a multiverse, really, when you think about it, the idea of like multiverse hopping stories wasn't really such a popular thing until way later.
But we're not hopping multiverses here. This is just a universe where Spider-Man lives in the same world.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying
as
that,
Superman.
like, that's why we're not, there's no like interdimensional what's-its.
Right.
You know,
this is
it's
like a full-on interconnected Marvel DC world, which does not make a lick of sense if you think about it too long, but don't worry about it.
It's an Elseworld. It's a what if. Yeah, don't worry about it.
I'd argue in a world with
really
Superman
canon,
and Batman, you don't need Spider-Man at all.
I mean, even well into the 90s, like Batman, Daredevil that we were planning on originally, and the first, the two Batman, Spider-Man crossovers from the 90s.
Yeah.
They're just set in the same Earth.
Yeah, they're
that's it.
I've only heard rumors of this Batman. Like, are you kidding me? He's in the JLA, dude.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you got to bend over a little backwards for an intercompany crossover.
I guess.
The story begins like a standard Spidey story where he stops some improbably armed bank robbers who've got these like laser rifles, and he's snapping pics for the Bugle.
Sure.
He admits that he eats an irresponsible number of Big Macs.
Okay, but I mean,
breakfast.
like, he's Spider-Man. This dude's doing a lot of cardio, a ton.
He said I probably should have only had 2 Big Macs. How many Big Macs is he eating?
Joe, a lot of cardio. Okay, imagine you got to go to work, but the only way to do it is to flip around through the air to get there.
I guess
that's a workout, dude.
Spidey obviously understands the concept of ACAB because the cops try to give him a hassle and he's like, fuck you guys, I'm out. We get a lot of great classic monologuing from Dr. Doom. He's built a hidden stronghold in nearly every major city on Earth.
Fine with that.
That's what he says.
Fine with it. That's Doom. Yeah. All right. Sure.
Every city. That's one of those like.
That doesn't bother me at all.
but that's one of those like Cobra has 1 billion members situations. If that is really true, you just win.
Well, sure. I mean, I'll give you that.
Because there's no realistic way to stop
There's certain characters where it's like Doom has a hidden, sanctum in every city. Yes. But if you tell me Sidewinder has a hidden city, a hidden hideout in every major city. No, you don't.
We're not talking about like a safe house or a bolt hole or like a mobile bat cave.
Don't care.
We're talking about a fucking fortress stronghold full of doomsday weapons.
2 words for you. Dr. Doom.
Yeah, all right.
I buy it.
I'm just saying. Doom should be way more successful. Doom can also control the Hulk remotely somehow, which again, you win if you have the Hulk on remote control.
Again,
you're the winner of the fight.
Dr. Doom. I get it.
That part I found perfectly plausible.
Sure.
When shit hits the fan, Clark cannot get away from his coworkers without arousing suspicion, so it is super ventriloquism to the rescue.
Oh yeah.
I love it. Every time we get a chance to see it, I love it.
I say we let him go.
No. Yeah, exactly. This Superman Hulk fight scene is great. We get some awesome displays of power from Superman and the Hulk. We get a mostly definitive answer to who would win in a fight between these two. Well, the Bronze Age Superman. Right. We're talking, this is the planet pushing Superman, not the like later day.
Yeah,
Superman.
like quite honestly, this Superman has no problem with anyone in the Marvel universe, right?
I mean, right. This Superman is like unto a god.
Yeah. This Superman,
but,
could flick the Hulk into outer space if he wanted to. But they do incorporate the madder the Hulk gets, the stronger Hulk gets, and that does factor in. So. It does.
Shooter does an excellent job juggling 2 huge casts. Even Steve Lombard gets time to shine. Walt and Louise Simonson make a cameo in dialogue only. There's like this scene where Superman's flying over New York and one of the word balloons is like, Wheezy, would you look at that? And the other one is like, Walt, shut up.
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, that's adorable.
You got to love Dr. Doom just rubbing his plan in Superman's face and then blasting him with kryptonite because he is not scared. He is in the Latvian embassy. Can't touch him, baby.
Yeah, you're under arrest, Superman.
Yeah, right. You're a law-abiding citizen.
Right.
Dr. Doom and the Parasite seems like a very lopsided team up, which I guess gets addressed later on.
Yeah, I don't understand the choice of Doom here, especially if Spider-Man's involved. Like, because there's nothing you could have done here with, like, Dr. Octopus, other than he has I would find it hard to believe that Dr. Octopus has a fortress in every city. But if you say Doc Ock made
also
something...
the diplomatic immunity also...
Well, I mean, yes, but if you say Doc Ock made something that can control the Hulk, yeah, I buy it. Sure. Okay.
I suppose.
Spidey villain. All right. You know...
I did like the little brief bit about Dr. Doom making Superman doubt his role in the world. I mean, maybe doubt's the wrong word, but he questions if he's doing enough considering his level of power. He's like, but what can I do? I can't just take control.
It seems kind of meta, though.
It's like,
also.
no.
Like
the answer is no.
Like a Marvel meta moment where, like,
right.
Look, we don't
Jim
have
Shooter, go figure.
Heroes like you in the Marvel universe. And if we did, they would just fix everything.
Right.
know?
Yeah, exactly. Jonah's assistant, Glory Grant, is hot for Clark's bod. Like, why would you not be? She's like, oh, man, get that guy out of his glasses and his button-down shirt, and I bet he's real
I think
hottie.
she's just horny and lonely. I don't know, poor girl.
Well, she does end up dating a murderous werewolf in the 80s. So.
Yeah, well, what can you do?
That doesn't...
Everyone deserves love, Joe.
Lobo.
I'm not going to say this again. Everyone deserves love. Okay, Joe? Jesus.
You're right, even werewolves.
God.
No one seems all that concerned that Clark keeps disappearing from rooms with no other exit than an open window a dozen stories above street level. Like he disappears into rooms with one exit and one window. And then they are immediately following after him and he's just gone. And then they're like, oh, well, I guess he committed suicide.
I mean, maybe they don't, like, I guess he's on the toilet, again.
It's true. Literally, it's
like what Clark does. He runs in. He's like, "Don't come in here! Oh God! I had 3 chili dogs for lunch.
I shouldn't have had big belly burgers for lunch." Yeah. Here's our Dr. Doom double cross because obviously the Parasite is not on his level. He's playing everyone against each other. Classic Doom stuff.
Go figure.
I did like how Parasite's powers allow him to realize that he's about to be betrayed because he absorbed pure spider sense. That was kind of neat.
That's fun. Yeah, that's super fun. There's little things they do like that where you can see these guys playing with the characters. I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Doom overreacts a little bit. His response to losing is to just like abandon Earth completely. He's going to go to an alien planet. He's just like, I'm out of here.
I don't know. I was thinking about that this morning. So, I mean,
well, I guess that's true.
I get it.
Once again, we learn his greatest power is diplomatic immunity. He gets off scot-free. Yeah. Look, man,
it's like there's nothing we can do, you guys.
If only there was something we could do.
He's a diplomat.
Why don't you have the UN invade Latveria or something? I don't know. This book is a blast. The art is fantastic. The army of inkers doesn't distract from Big John's incredible pencils. And I think it was a wise idea to have one inker for the figure drawings and all the other inkers are in the background. You can't even tell.
I think that definitely made the most sense. And somehow we decided we don't need to do that ever again. Let's just make the inking completely in your face and a big problem in several other issues, but whatever.
Yeah. It's classic superhero storytelling at its best. Marvel Treasury edition 28. It's one of the crossovers that wrote the book on how it's done. Huge buy it. Loved it.
Yeah, it's great. This is just stupid fun. It's dumb fun. And don't think about it. Just have a good time. That's what they wanted.
I mean, really, that's every crossover.
And it's
don't
still
think
clever.
about it too hard.
Well, I mean, some of them you can, and that makes them even better. But regardless, why Wonder Woman is here, I have no idea.
Oh, yeah. She shows up and she's just like
literally
an afterthought.
Farted into the plot and immediately gets knocked the fuck out.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. They really make her look bad. It's a buy it for me. This was fun. Well, that does it for the lighthearted fun crossovers. Let's move on to Batman, Judge Dredd, Judgment on Gotham, the one-shot. DC, February 1991. This is written by Alan Grant and John Wagner. Art by Simon Bisley. Letters by Todd Klein. Cover by Bisley. This one, I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off. This comic book is off its goddamn meds crazy.
It is literally insane.
Yeah.
It is unhinged.
So here's your setup. With the help of a dimensional belt, Judge Death traveled from Mega City 1 to the streets of Gotham, and Batman has no idea what he's dealing with. But after holding him off, the same belt takes Batman to Mega City 1, where he comes face to face with a criminal element unlike anything he's seen before, and one authority figure that does not like vigilantes. Meanwhile, Judge Death is teaming up with the Scarecrow in Gotham, and there's an outdoor heavy metal concert. Yep. This goddamn comic. I mean, it opens with Judge Dredd. First of all, it opens with some butts, because Simon Bisley, as much as I love him, bit of a pervert. That's part of what he does.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever.
That's a butt right there.
And 2000 AD at the time was an adult comic book. This is an adult comic book.
But this was okay, so
It's published by DC, but these are 2000 AD creators, John Wagner and Simon Bisley.
I understand, but DC's not going to be putting out a comic book with butts.
They did it.
So maybe DC's version was covered, or maybe the DC version was labeled for mature readers. But this is actually, if you look at the cover,
this is a 2000 AD production, but DC.
This is the 2000 AD English version that we read, because the price is in pounds.
I couldn't find a DC version to compare, but there's definitely boobs, butts, and a lot of murder in this book. Like,
I don't think there are boobs. There are no boobs.
There's boobs. Judge Anderson is taking a shower, boob naked, later on.
But you don't really see her boobs.
She jumps out of bed and they show her boobs. Yes, I can show you the panel.
Don't, Matt.
I'm
telling you.
Absolutely show you the panel where Judge Anderson.
I'm looking at the book. You don't have to guide me through it.
Scroll down.
I'm reading it with you.
Do they show nipples? Maybe.
No. The answer is no.
A shadow.
That's how they get away with it.
These are her tatas. No question.
Yes, they are covered in shadow.
And she's wearing a thong as well.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. This is an adult book, and they do not care. This is Judge Death killing young lovers. It's sort of set in a weird future Gotham, though. Like, the cop cars are weird. They're not normal.
I don't think it's the future. I just don't think Simon Bisley knows how to draw real things.
I mean, maybe he wasn't interested in the exercise enough and just was like, I'm going to do Simon Bisley stuff. Whatever, I don't know. It looks great. I love.
Yeah, no, Bisley. Why are the cops driving like a Maserati or whatever the hell? That's like a sports car.
It's not even a Maserati. It's like a time machine. I don't know what it is.
It's got a big spoiler on the back. It's got like gold wing doors.
Right out of Blade Runner, right? Dredd, when they finally do meet, we get to see Dredd is a total badass, and we know that because he knocks Batman the fuck out with one punch. No problem. It's crazy. Batman doesn't see it coming. He's like, whoa, smoked. The whole book has kind of like this trashy 90s indie feel to it because Bisley and Wagner, they're just having fun. They're going crazy. And Bisley drawn Batman is awesome. Batman is
this first splash page where you see Batman is kind of iconic.
It's just living cape. I love it so much. And his Batman is huge, rippling muscles, red eyes, crazy long ears. It's just a blast. The story goes completely bonkers as Bats really doesn't team up with Judge Dredd. They don't get along.
No, at all.
At all.
I was shocked.
And I like that. I like that this one kind of bucks the usual formula. And we still got a doohickey. The doohickey brings Batman to Mega City 1, brings people from Mega City 1 to Gotham.
That's a doohickey. Yeah.
Right.
Interdimensional. Right.
There's a guy that headbutts people and he calls himself a buttist, and they keep making
like he's a buttist
jokes. Yeah. He's like, I'm on a butt rampage.
And his name is Mean Bean.
Mean Machine, my little black pug. That's Mean Bean. You're getting it confused. They are definitely just having fun here. This is more of a Batman Judge Anderson team up than anything else. But it totally works. And it makes sense because Judge Anderson was always the one that was like, you got to chill out, Dredd. Judge Anderson was like the little girl in Inspector Gadget that solved all the crimes.
Yeah.
And Inspector Gadget was kind of a moron that stumbled around and had some gadgets, right? That was it. Penny and her dog fucking took care of all the business, right? I had a ton of fun with this one, though. It's come for the idea, stay for the art, completely nuts, fun. I'm giving this a huge buy it. I just had a great time with it.
I mean, yeah, man, it's weird and wild, and it's Vertigo-esque, right? It's
very Vertigo-esque, yes.
And I think that if you don't obsess over the fact that it's Batman or that it's supposed to fit a certain style, like they're very much doing this up like it's 2000 AD.
Oh yeah. No,
but I know that this came out from DC in the States because it was on comic shop shelves. It was prestige. It was prestige format, I think. And so, or maybe not. This may have been before prestige format because it came out in 1991, right?
Maybe, yeah.
And so, but I mean, it was on American comic book stands. I know this.
I should mention Batman does get his licks in too. He breaks Judge Dredd's nose, so they each get a shot.
Yeah. No, I mean, Batman is no slouch, but it really should have been called Batman ... with Judge Dredd.
Or they could have said Batman versus Judge Dredd, and I would
or
buy
Batman
it.
Or Batman / Judge Anderson would have been a more accurate title. Yeah, it's so much fun. The art is incredible. It makes no logical sense. Even the quote unquote present day Earth architecture, technology, whatever.
It's wild. Yeah.
It doesn't. It makes no because it's Simon Bisley, and that's all you really have to know.
Bisley is not interested in Tim Burton's Gotham at all.
Don't go into it. Don't go into it thinking you're going to get Graham Nolan's,
no.
realistic artwork. It's not. It's not.
Even the Scarecrow and like Catwoman are unrecognizable.
There's this like
bizarre.
fever dream where Judge Anderson reads Batman's mind and Catwoman, like, what is Catwoman wearing? I have no idea.
No idea. The helmet is wild.
Yeah. This is a buy it. Great stuff. Fun pick. I had never read this. Let's switch over to DC's publishing game. It is DC Special Series number 27 from DC. The year was 1981, same year as Amazing Spider-Man versus Superman. This one's Batman versus the Incredible Hulk. It's written by the aforementioned Len Wein with quote-unquote help from Marv Wolfman and Mike DiCarlo.
Cheating shit at Len Wein.
Pencils are by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez.
I have no idea if Len Wein cheated on his wife. I just think it's
funny. Inks are by Dick Giordano. Colors are by the aforementioned former Mrs. Wein, Glynis Wein. Letters are by John Costanza. Here's your background / setup / whatever you want to call it. The Monster and the Madman.
Great title.
It is. The maniacal trickster, the Joker, has just convinced the Jade Giant that Batman is his enemy. It will take all the Dark Knight's skills and courage to survive his first encounter with the Earth's mightiest mortal. Plus, how does the mysterious and cosmically powered Shaper of Worlds fit into all of this?
I would just like to point out that the Joker convinces the Hulk that Batman is his enemy by saying, look, we both have green hair.
My hair is also green, yeah.
And the Hulk's like, yep, good enough for me. I'm going to fuck that guy.
It makes that tracks. Let's go. Yeah. Like my last book, this is also an oversized Treasury or tabloid edition. So like the real version, if you're not reading it digitally, is gigantic.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's very much, I believe it's even part of the same series as the Batman versus Ra's al Ghul issue that we reviewed several months ago. No coincidence that this one also opens up with the dual origins. It came out the exact same year, so it's got the same format.
Love it.
I'm going to tell you in advance, Matt, that I can count the number of comics I've read with the Shaper of Worlds on one hand. That's missing fingers. So don't ask me any questions about him because I have no clue.
This is my first Shaper of Worlds. I just assumed he was here for whatever.
I know. I know that he's a Marvel character. He's appeared in the Hulk. But that's literally all I know.
I had no background.
We got something going on here in Gotham. Dreams are becoming a reality. I don't know, almost like they're being shaped into the world. I don't know. The Joker is here. It's the laughing fish Joker, but he's also like very sinister.
Yeah, definitely.
This is the Banner on the Run era, kind of like the TV show. So like cue the melancholy theme right here.
Oh yeah. You can hear it playing. He's like, Dr. Bruce Banner has to hide his name and work in a warehouse where they're building a gamma gun to cure diseases.
Yeah, right.
Because nothing cures diseases like a gun.
Well, you know. So yeah, the gamma gun is the MacGuffin, and naturally the Joker shows up to steal it. There's a moment where the Joker and the Hulk encounter each other for the first time, and I really wanted to see what happened when the Joker gas hit the Hulk, but it doesn't affect him, and I think that's kind of a missed opportunity. Definitely. I get it, but I thought it would have been kind of fun.
A giggling like wild Hulk would have been great.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, this was also kind of a toned down version of the gas, it seemed, because it just kind of knocked people out. It didn't kill anybody.
Well, I think at this time, that's what the Joker gas did.
Well, yeah, I mean, sure. Just when you start to wonder why Batman just stood there while the Joker tried to bamboozle the Hulk, Len Wein explains it. So, you know, good on you, Len. He's like, oh, here's the reason why Batman doesn't do anything. Because he was like, if I confuse the Hulk anymore, things could get really bad.
Because Batman has lived in a world with the Hulk for a long time and knows
many years.
Understands the Hulk rules, you know?
Compared to the last one I did, this book moves at lightning speed, which isn't a complaint. It's just kind of interesting to note the different styles of storytelling. Like this is like action, 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 action.
Yeah. They're not fucking around. This one is, you get whiplash.
And so when the Shaper of Worlds finally shows up, it seems so ridiculous and out of place, but then he explains why he's chosen to ally himself with the Joker. And it actually sort of kind of worked for me. I was like, in all the universe, I reached out and in everybody on this planet, your mind is unique. And I knew that you would help. You would be able to help.
I found it to be a lot personally.
I mean, whatever.
I'm not going to say it didn't get there, but it took its time and weaved around a bit. That's all
sure.
That's all I'm gonna say.
We get some nice moments like Alfred keeping Banner calm with hot tea. You know, I was like, yeah, Alfred, go
adorable.
For it.
That was adorable.
Favorite moment of the issue is Batman in disguise as like a homeless person trying to get information. And he's wearing a full prosthetic mask.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And when he pulls it off, he is still wearing his cowl with the pointy ears fully extended.
The man is a billionaire, Joe. He can afford that.
Where did they go under that mask?
He can afford it. All right.
Yeah, all right. Fine. The Gamma Doohickey is not curing the Shaper's problem, but as luck would have it, the Hulk kicks out just the right flavor of energy to do the job. Naturally, he sends the 150-pound clown to go catch him.
Sure.
It's like, Joker, go get the Hulk. And the Joker's like, yeah, okay, I guess.
Let me grab him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. This book has a charm to it that I appreciated. Like there's a scene where the Joker and Batman have to kind of team up a little bit, which I would not have expected to happen. You would not catch the New 52 Batman pulling this kind of shit.
No way.
But it's, you know, this is 1981. We're talking about different versions of the characters. It is interesting to compare the Hulk in this story to the one from Superman Spider-Man. There, he was destroying everything in sight, like razing entire buildings, causing windows to be destroyed for blocks. Here, like widespread destruction. Here, he's just subdued. He's like jumping around. He's sleeping in alleyways. He's doing relatively little smashing. He just wants to be left alone.
They kind of had to dial him down to do.
Well, but in the other one, Dr. Doom was driving him crazy with that thing.
I mean, I suppose. Yeah, there's that. Yeah.
It's just like it's inside you. There are two Hulks.
The one you feed is the problem, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. And then, of course, the second after I typed that little bit in my notes, I read the scene where the Hulk brings down an entire building on top of Batman and the Joker.
I'm looking at that scene right now.
So, you know, big final battle, cosmic this, cosmic that. The Joker ends up with godlike powers for 5 minutes. It's very like Emperor Joker kind of reality warping. But Batman's Batman. He saves the day. in a very clever way, I thought. And then Bruce Banner pulls a Batman at the very end and disappears without a word, which I thought was awesome.
It was cute.
So this was a lot sillier than I was expecting. Pitting Batman against the Hulk and Cosmic Anything is just a weird call to make, but I thought it worked for me because they didn't shy away from showing that Batman is physically outmatched, but he's not outsmarted or outclassed. He's Batman. The art by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, of course, is fantastic. I would have preferred an inker that's a little bit more slick than Giordano.
Yeah.
But it's personal preference. It still looks very, very good. This is a buy it from me. I loved this as well.
The art looks good. I will say that. Not great, Jose Garcia Lopez. And like, I'm sorry.
What? Whoa. What do you mean not great?
Because of the
Jose
inking.
Luis Garcia
The inking
Lopez?
is what I'm saying, is a little heavy and not as great.
Then don't blame
it's not as
Jose.
And look, Batman does not box the Hulk's ears, and it causes a problem. Doesn't? No. Sorry. It does not happen.
I think that tracks with
Joe,
what we know about the
Hulk can survive in space. It does not bother him if someone boxes his ears. Okay.
I think that you can create
you can make a
shockwave
noise
inside the
or
Hulk's
whatever.
skull. I think you can fly at wasp size down the Hulk's throat and cause a lot of problems.
I mean,
we've seen the wasp fly into his ear.
Okay,
and cause
sure.
trouble.
Batman can't do that. He just boxes his ears. I'm not buying it. No. Okay.
He's just like,
absolutely not. Batman is not the strongest there is. This is fun. It was a little too silly for me. I thought the last Hulk thing we read didn't get quite this silly. I'm going to give it a buy it because the art is fun and it's clever and they smash every villain you can think of for both of them in there. It's a low.
I think
it's a low buy. It's not as I'm getting. This one didn't do the whole.
Stop with that low buy it shit. There's no such thing as a low buy it.
This one didn't pull off the whole. They live in the same world as well as some of the other ones. I'll say that.
I think that it's an interesting contrast between the other one, which was published by Marvel, because it seems very like a Marvel version of the quote unquote real world with rules. But this is the DC universe where things are buck wild all the time.
I guess. Yeah, I'll give it that. This was from Marvel and DC. They did it together. February.
I think it was technically published by DC.
Oh, was it? Okay. Yeah, it had both their names.
I think technically.
Listed both their names. I wasn't sure. February 1999. It's written by Roger Stern with pencils by the great Steve Rude, inks by the amazing Al Milgrom, colors by the just fine Steve Oliff, and letters by, that guy Jim Novak. Cover by Steve Rude. Here's your setup. Superman had another busy day saving the world, but he still has time to sit down with his best girl, Lois, and lament not being able to help his old friend, Bruce Banner, when he turned into the Hulk. But now that the Hulk is rampaging through Arizona, he's got another chance. It just so happens Lois has been sent to cover the Hulk's rampage and interview his only friend, Rick Jones. Meanwhile, Clark Kent is interviewing a scientist who created a gamma gun, because that's what we do in these crossovers. Yes. For General Thunderbolt Ross's Special Armed Force Division. And of course, Lex Luthor wants in on the gamma gun secrets too. I guess because there's money to be made and Lex is working.
I mean, sure.
Munitions.
Pardon me, correction. This was published by Marvel.
Okay. Okay. So this version of the Hulk apparently originally first met and fought Superman in that Marvel Treasury edition, Volume 128. Like the
27.
27. The creator.
I don't think so.
According to Roger Stern, that's what he's going for here. And the book has a very Silver Age feel. No question. And when you get a guy like Steve Rude to draw it, who has this very Silver Age inspired, beautiful artwork. The art in this is just wonderful. It's so good. I love Steve Rude. He's a master cartoonist. His Hulk is great. He's got gigantic forehead and like
the huge brow.
Yeah, gigantic brow and an underbite. And he caveman shoulders. He's always hunched over. He's just fantastic.
Steve Rude draws the Hulk like Alex Ross paints.
Absolutely.
With that huge ass brow. Yeah.
Again, Superman just lives in the same world as these Marvel characters, knows the Hulk, knows the Avengers, well aware of them.
I will say that it took me a minute to realize that we were starting in the modern day and then flashing back.
Yes, definitely. But
to the Hulk and Superman's first meeting.
I don't know how far we flashed back. Like, did we flash back a year? Because like this
to
Superman,
the Silver Age.
I mean, I guess I'll give you when they show them meeting the first time, he's got a very Silver Age S on.
Or to the Bronze Age, yeah.
And this Superman that's telling the story is wearing a more modern looking S. So there's I think they're saying
a more bigger S, as Strong Bad would say.
Yeah, more bigger. Indeed. Lois is like the total badass that they send into Arizona to interview people. Betty.
I loved Lois's entry into the past part of the story.
It's great. Betty's damsel in distress, of course, because that's all she ever is. So, until later when she turns into a red harpy and it's terrifying, but that's a whole nother thing.
She's turned into a lot of different things.
Lex, of course, wants to use Hulk's strength to kill Superman. Builds $1 billion robot to trick everybody into thinking that the Hulk is doing something he's not doing because he's Lex Luthor, right?
Yeah, right.
This Hulk, the way that they write him, he's just like this cantankerous, constantly cursing. Like he's dropping Grawlix all over the place. Like this Hulk has got a filthy mouth.
He does. He's got a potty mouth. He's also speaking a lot more coherently. He's not quite the savage Hulk.
No, not at all. This is more like
the childlike Hulk of the 70s. He is much more like the original version of the Hulk from the 60s, where he could speak in sentences.
Even Lex Luthor is very Silver Age feeling here. Like he's kind of a big fat dude.
This is this is like technically Golden Age Lex Luthor because he still has hair.
Yeah, he's got like some red hair. I mean, he's bald, but he's got like, the red crown.
He's got the red horseshoe around.
He's kind of a fat dude. He's not good looking or anything. He's just like boss hog.
They're kind of playing it fast and loose because let's say it's the same Superman and the same Hulk, but that Superman and Hulk was pre-crisis, which means Lex Luthor was a supervillain in a purple jumpsuit.
Right.
But this Lex Luthor wears a white suit that he mentions LexCorp. It's kind of,
it's a mixture of all
greatest
of this
hits
with a Silver Age feel. We get a fun Superman Hulk fight, but look, even if this is not Bronze Age planet moving Superman, it's hard for me to believe that Superman has a lot of trouble with the Hulk, right? Unless certain writers are writing the Hulk, I guess. Unless Donny Cates is writing. If Donny Cates is writing the Hulk,
stuff.
If Donny Cates is writing the Hulk, then the Hulk is a problem for Superman. But that's about it. So.
I think that this version of the Hulk Superman handles no problem.
Yeah. This was a lot of fun. I had a good time with it. It doesn't want you to think too hard about it. Just have a good time with a Silver Age romp. You get Thunderbolt Ross teaming up with Lex Luthor and tricking Superman and Hulk into fighting each other because obviously Superman could murder them both and so could the Hulk. So they got to be smarter, right? This is a huge buy it though. I had a blast with this.
Yeah, same. It's a great book. And it's, again, look, like with all of these crossovers, and I mean all of them, you have to allow for some fudging of details.
Sure.
Like, we're not going to, in 1999, they are not going to do purple jumpsuit or green armor Lex Luthor.
No.
They're just not, because DC had abandoned all of that stuff.
But it's also very clever that you hire a guy like Steve Rude to draw
tone
this.
Of it.
Now the tone
of it feels right.
It becomes Silver Age. It becomes ridiculous.
It becomes Silver Age, right? It makes you feel like you're reading a Silver Age comic or a Bronze Age comic. There are so many great moments. Like, I love the Hulk taking out the helicopter by putting a bunch of metal shavings into his mouth and then spitting them out like shotgun pellets.
Sure.
So in the present day, they're watching a documentary about Bruce Banner, Clark and Lois, and that's what gets him reminiscing, right? And he's like, "Oh, I wish I could have done more." And then at the end, when it flashes back to the present day, we see Bruce Banner standing in front of outside of an electronics store window with a bank of TVs, all playing the documentary, and all you see is his hand against the glass and his reflection, and it's just like, God damn, Roger Stern.
Yeah.
It is a punch in the gut, man.
Fantastic. But then cue the Incredible Hulk TV show music.
Yeah, totally.
There you go.
Right. And then he wanders off into the night.
Bruce Banner, tragic figure.
Yep. This is a huge buy it. Loved it. It's getting, by the way, increasingly improbable that these groups of characters would have never met.
Yeah, so it's one thing if you want to do like, oh, I'm telling a story with this character and this character, and their bad guys are here too, the end. But the fucking X-Men and the new Teen Titans.
Yeah, right. Especially considering both of them are based in New York.
Right.
So, like, you want to tell me that Batman has never encountered the Hulk before now? Sure, why not? And there's Batman, why would he?
But there's ways around this shit. Do your thing, and we'll talk about it. Get into it.
The Teen Titans and the X-Men one, like, never meeting ever is, like,
zero sense. This one makes zero sense.
Sure. I mean, you know, I didn't let that bother me, but
they don't try to hide it. They're just like, whatever.
Yeah, hey. Oh, you certainly don't, like, you certainly don't go, oh, they must be the villains. It's like, no.
But you could also very cleverly just do, okay, we're dealing with the Phoenix and Darkseid. Something happens, dimensions burp together, here we are.
Sure.
The dimensions burp apart.
I mean, well, look, we don't have to do that. They make it work. Look, we're getting ahead of ourselves. The title of this book, speaking of things that are improbable, is Marvel and DC Present, featuring the Uncanny X-Men and the new Teen Titans. That's the actual literal title.
It was just their way to like, hey, we've each got a hot title. Let's see if we can sell more.
We have to make sure that everybody gets top billing in this comic. We got to use full proper names. This one was put out by Marvel. It came out in 1982. It was not a tabloid-sized edition, but it is a beefy boy. It's written by Chris Claremont. Pencils are by Walt Simonson. Inks by Terry Austin. Colors by, hey, guess who? Glynis Wein. Letters are by Tom Orzechowski. Like, this is a murderer's row of talent on this book.
This book looks awesome. It looks so awesome.
Yeah, and we're going to get into that. Here is your setup. Seeking to co-opt the near limitless power of the Source, the evil space tyrant Darkseid sets into motion a plan to recreate the Dark Phoenix by tapping into the memories of her former teammates, the X-Men. After being captured by Deathstroke the Terminator and Darkseid's parademons, both teams must work together to free themselves and defeat their cosmic foes. Can Professor X and Cyclops convince what is left of Jean Grey's human consciousness to sacrifice herself all over again?
It's not a ghost. It's what's left of her human consciousness. Like, what does that
yeah, it's not a ghost. I mean, and they get into they explain
mean?
exactly what she is. You've got Darkseid out there Darkseiding. You got the X-Men X-Manning. So far, so good. Everything seems legit. We get a nice job from the creative team spotlighting everyone's powers for those unfamiliar with the characters. And you know there had to be some.
Sure.
Something to consider, though, is that at this time, X-Men and the new Teen Titans were neck and neck for the highest selling comic book on the stands.
Oh, yeah. That's the only reason he did this, because it was a chance to like...
New Teen Titans was a sales phenomenon.
But this was your way to show off your hot shit to people that only read Marvel or only read DC. So there you go.
It was a peanut butter and chocolate moment is what it was. You get some parallels to between Raven and the Phoenix, which I guess seems fitting. Cyborg reveals that this is another shared world. The X-Men exist here with the Teen Titans. They've just never met. We already discussed how silly that is. We get some great character drama from Claremont with Jean's grieving parents. In fact, this whole comic book is peak, strong Chris Claremont. Like, this is not bad Claremont. This is not silly Claremont. This is not like, oh my God, there are too many words and ridiculous accents Claremont. This is golden age Claremont. A
lot of words, but great Claremont.
But good words.
Yeah, but really good Claremont.
I thought it was hilarious that Deathstroke and his parademon ambushed Robin, but they just left him unconscious in the alley for some reason.
Like, screw you.
I also thought it was hilarious. Well, not hilarious. I thought it was interesting that during this time in his existence, they keep referring to Deathstroke. They just call him the Terminator.
Just the Terminator, which I thought was
even
really
though
weird.
Deathstroke is a way cooler name.
Definitely. But I don't know. What year was this?
82.
Okay, so this is before the Terminator movie.
Maybe
came out,
before
too.
the Terminator movie,
Yeah, weird.
but it's just like they just call him the Terminator a lot. I thought it made sense that Starfire knew about the Phoenix from like past experience. She had a run-in with it, or at least a run-in with the Shi'ar, and that all tracked with me. It did, however, seem grossly irresponsible, not to mention foolhardy, that the Titans would just break into the X-Mansion based on the fact that all they know is that the X-Men used to know somebody coincidentally named Phoenix. They don't even know it's the same Phoenix.
No.
And Robin is like, guys, we're better than this.
Right. Like, come on.
So Darkseid's big plan: siphon residual energy from all of the places that Phoenix visited on Earth, including, no joke, the spot where Jean and Scott touched dirty purples for the first time.
Well, sure. That was a thing for her. That was important.
Yeah, you bet. The art in this book, good God, is so incredible. But the way he draws Wolverine's mask is fucking weird.
Yeah, it's wild.
They just go, the mask point thingies just go straight up.
And they're, up and back. They're like 3 feet behind him.
It's so bizarre.
They're way
Walt,
back there.
You work for Marvel, Walt. You know what Wolverine looks like.
I don't know.
Fun fact, this is the very first appearance of the Source Wall.
Really?
Kirby. Yep.
No
Kirby
shit.
Kirby mentioned it in previous New Gods stories. It was never shown until now.
I did not know. I just assumed this was a Kirby thing and one of those weird,
I
like,
thought so
forever
too,
people
but when I
issues
was
or
doing
something.
research, I was like, oh shit, first appearance of the Source Wall.
Kidding.
And the 2-page spread of the reveal of the wall is jaw-dropping.
It's kick-ass.
Breathtaking.
Yeah, it is.
It's just like, God damn, Walt
Peak
Simonson, you have no
Simonson.
business being that good.
Peak Simonson lunacy. Love it.
Yeah. Darkseid succeeds in restoring Dark Phoenix, but she's a flawed construct because he wasn't able to get the dirty purple power. They smashed the machine.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
But we do get that very famous splash page where it's the Dark Phoenix and she's like, who dares summon the Dark Phoenix?
It's awesome.
And then in the foreground is this giant Darkseid head and he's holding his hand and he goes, Darkseid. It's just like, Jesus, that's so good.
Love it. And I'll tell you what, had they done the dimension thing where things burp together, whatever, this is a way better vehicle.
You
to
gotta let
bring
that go, man.
Jean
Sometimes
Grey
you
back.
don't have to have dimensions that burp together.
Then
You
she
don't have
was
to have it.
in a cocoon underwater.
Oh, I mean, it would have been a better way to resurrect Jean.
That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. It would have been such a better way to resurrect Jean.
Yeah.
And it like happened in this thing and Darkseid did. Oh, it's awesome.
And why was Deathstroke totally cool with Darkseid wanting to destroy the Earth? I get that he's a mercenary.
He's getting paid.
And he was hired to do a gig, but once you found out his plan, why didn't you beef it?
Hey, man.
Just get the fuck out.
As long as he's getting paid, he's doing his job.
Sure, right. Starfire, as usual, is horny for everybody, but hey, yeah, sure. That's how she learns new languages. She kisses them, blah, blah, blah. Speaking of incredible artistic moments in the book, there is a Phoenix Cyclops, like Marvel versus Capcom combo move that is like fucking incredible.
There's the best fastball special I've ever seen in this too.
It's a great fastball
It's
special.
great.
Yeah. Strong finish. We get a cryptic note from Metron and a fresh look at the newly transformed Source Wall. No spoilers. I already said it. Simonson's art, fucking incredible. Terry Austin is a great inker for him. Walt Simonson, I believe, inked his own pencils during his Thor run.
Yes.
So to see Walt Simonson with an inker is not all that common. Terry Austin is a master.
Yeah, he lifts something out of Simonson that I didn't know was even there. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
he lifted
This book
something
looks
all right, and it
great.
was Wolverine's mask ears. This was my first time reading this comic. I fucking loved it. It's a huge buy it. I loved it.
Yeah, this is great. My only problem is the way that like they just got smashed together. Like you don't need to do that. When you're dealing with Darkseid, when you're dealing with Dark Phoenix, there is no reason why we can't say something happened and they came together. It is ridiculous that they live in
You
the
gotta
same
let that
city.
go, man. They'd already established
I understand.
in multiple crossovers that these characters coexist.
It's ridiculous. I'm giving it a buy. I loved it. But like, come on, guys. Do better. That's all I'm saying. Finally, we get to a crossover that makes sense because there's time travel, right? Like, why we're time traveling? That's a different issue. But I'm talking about Star Trek and X-Men #1 from Marvel, October 1996. It's written by Scott Lobdell. Pencils, get ready for this. Pencils by Mark Silvestri, Billy Tan, Anthony Wynn, David Finch, and Brian Ching, with inks by, let me crack my knuckles real quick, Bat, D-Tron, Billy Tan, Aaron Sow, Joe Weems, Victor Llamas, Team Tron, whoever the hell that is, Jose Gielan, Viet Trung, and Mike Manzarek. Why?
Jose Jaggian.
Why are there so many goddamn inkers on this book?
I don't know, man. It's almost like this book came together super quick to capitalize on Marvel getting the Star Trek license.
I wonder. Colors by Tyson Wengler, Steve Furchow, and Jonathan D. Smith, and Richard Eisenov. Letters by Dennis Heisler, who was trusted to just do the job, I guess.
Sure, right.
Cover by Mark Silvestri. Here's your setup. A psionic rift is tearing through the Federation space, and it seems to be near a planet where Captain Kirk lost a close friend and a crew member, Gary Mitchell. For those of you who don't know, he turned into a god while investigating a rift in an episode of the original series called Where No Man Has Gone Before. It's a great episode. Meanwhile, and for reasons I didn't pick up on here, the X-Men are being chased by Deathbird and the Shi'ar Royal Guard, and they pass through the same rift where they were thrown into the future, where they teleport on the Enterprise just before their ship is destroyed. Literally no explanation why it's happening.
None. It almost got whiplash.
Yeah. From there, they team up with Kirk and the crew to take down Gary, who is merged with Proteus and once again threatens the galaxy. And let me tell you, nothing makes Gary sound like a loser more than putting his name next to Proteus. Proteus is scary. Gary works in the mailroom. Lobdell's Star Trek, like when it's just Lobdell doing Star Trek, this book is great. It's great. The art has a lot of problems.
Matt, there are 4 goddamn colorists. Why are there 4 colorists?
That's what I'm saying. The art has a lot of problems, and I think 4 colorists is only the beginning of that problem. I think 18 inkers is also a massive
Well, to be fair, there are only 10 inkers and 8 inking assistants.
Fair enough. Now, I will also say, when I think Star Trek, Marvel got Star Trek, I can't imagine any fan was like, God damn it, Mark Silvestri and a horde of artists that wish they were Mark Silvestri should be drawing this. You know, like, there's nothing about Silvestri's art.
I don't get it.
That screams Star Trek to me.
I don't get it. I mean, the Silvestri art is good.
Yeah, it's good.
And then the art becomes less good.
It just doesn't, it's good, but it just doesn't work for Star Trek. 1. 2, the man cannot draw the Enterprise. No one in this comic book can draw the Enterprise. They can draw like a bunch of weird insect-looking Shi'ar ships and shit, but for some reason, every time
the Enterprise looks fine to me.
It looks bad. Every time we see it, it looks ridiculous. It looks too skinny. That's
how the original Enterprise looks, though.
This Enterprise sucks every time we see it.
This is the Enterprise A, my man, or the not even the Enterprise A.
I love that ship. I'm just saying they're not doing a good job drawing it. And I loved when Gladiator shows up. And
that's pretty great.
And punches the Enterprise, scene. And they're like, "What the fuck?" Like blows everybody's.
Like, how is he talking? Spock. Yeah. How is he talking? How are we hearing him? Spock. And Spock is like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, like this doesn't make any sense. You know what else doesn't make any sense? How the X-Men can teleport aboard the Enterprise and they don't know. Bullshit. Just saying.
Star Trek always makes a very big deal of the fact that you cannot beam in and out of a ship.
No way.
Shields are up.
No way. And the X-Men are not.
We're not talking about Federation transporters here. This is some Shi'ar nonsense. I don't know what's going on.
I mean, okay, fine. But the Shi'ar are still from the past. They have traveled to the future.
You know what? It's best not to think about it.
Yeah, you can't think about it because it's stupid.
Yeah, it's stupid.
There's a cute moment where we get Beast and Dr. McCoy in the med bay, and they're like, Dr. McCoy, and they're both like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, what's wrong with Gambit? Any idea?
he got hurt during the previous thing that we didn't see.
I really feel like there was like a zero issue or something that I missed when I came into this.
I wonder if there should be like an editor's note that's missing where this technically takes place in between issues of Uncanny X-Men where they fight the Shi'ar.
Maybe there's something like that, and I'm fine. Then I go, okay, whatever.
But there is nothing.
Well, but not just that. You also have the problem where Gary is just merged with Proteus, and that happened off panel.
Where did Proteus even come from?
We don't know. Proteus found the rift, I guess, and found Gary and found this planet, and they touched tips, and now there's super bad news. You know,
touch tips. Yeah,
it's really bad news. This issue just suffers from doing way too much. And they could have just had like a perfectly good time traveling X-Men story. They meet the Star Trek crew. We get to see Spock kick the shit out of Wolverine, which I thought was a riot.
That was pretty fun. Yeah.
But other than that, Wolverine does nothing in this comic. Nothing.
Well, he's got bone claws. What good's he going to do?
Well, and he also, that's not totally true. He does sniff his way to the med bay. Which makes some sense, I guess.
There is literally, there's the big like cross the streams scene where everybody is blasting Gary / Proteus because they decided the only way out is to murder him.
Yeah.
And Wolverine is just standing there with his claws out like flexing. He's helping.
Yeah, like I'm doing it too.
I'm helping.
The art just gets steadily worse as you go through this comic.
I mean, I guess some of it's pretty bad, but most of it is okay. It's just that
it just gets to an over-inked mess.
It's distracting
by the end. Yeah.
Inconsistent.
I'm still going to give us a skim it because I think Scott Lobdell does a very nice job writing the Star Trek parts. It just the X-Men shit is so forced here with no explanation whatsoever that it's almost laugh out loud funny.
Yeah,
what's happening.
I think that I'm going to give this a skim it as well. I remember really disliking this as a teen when it came out in what year did you say? 1995, 1996?
96.
Yeah. So it came out the year I went to college, and I remember there was all this hype about it, and I was like, yeah, hey, cool. And then I remember reading it and going, ugh, this is not very good.
I mean, it was garbage. Like, it was garbage at the time. No question.
Revisiting it now as an adult, I recognize, hey, you know what? The dialogue, the story is silly. The dialogue is actually quite good.
And I do like that
especially the Star Trek dialogue.
They plumbed this Star Trek episode for this.
Right.
That's fun.
I think Lobdell does an admirable job with the mandate he was given.
Yeah.
I think the fact that it's got an army of artists and inkers is very silly and unprofessional, really. Marvel should have just like waited and let somebody draw the whole fucking thing.
And I did laugh out loud at the scene where Kirk is going, Gary, and yelling, and fucking Cyclops stand right next to him and goes, Proteus!
Yeah.
God, you guys.
The story wraps up at such a breakneck pace. Like, did you guys think that you had extra pages to work with?
I don't know.
It wraps up so fucking fast. And like Deathbird and the Imperial Guard, the X-Men are like, you're coming with us. And they're just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I still don't understand what Bishop did, quite honestly. Like, but he did something to save the day.
Yeah, you know,
they fired a tractor beam through Bishop? Like,
they used his energy channeling powers to do something to the tractor beam, blah, blah, blah. Star Trek bullshit.
I hate Bishop.
They reversed the polarity, Star Trek nonsense.
Definitely felt like it. They were like, all right, guys, we're doing this 4-issue limited series. It's going to be a blast. And then they were like, well, we're all booked for stuff. Like, all right, we'll just get a bunch of inkers and we'll do one issue.
You got one issue. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a skim it. It's not very good, but it's better than I remembered, which
not very good.
It's not nothing, I actually picked one crossover where the universes do have to burp together just to make Matt happy. It's Green Lantern Silver Surfer Unholy Alliances, published by DC Comics. The year was 1995. This was the peak prestige format era.
Oh, yeah.
I think the cover was slightly... I remember in my mind the cover was embossed, but probably not.
No, it was just glossy. It was like...
It was just, glossy.
It was like that
cardstock.
nice...
It was gorgeous Gorgeous book.
Baxter print pages. These books are
Yeah, man. Prestige format is probably one of my favorite comic book
best
ever.
Love it.
Written by Ron Mars, pencils by Daryl Banks, inks by Terry Austin, the actual Green Lantern creative team of that era. Colors are by the International House of Colors. Technically, they could have 30 colorists on this book. We wouldn't know. They're not individually named. Cover colors, however, are by Gloria Vasquez. Thank you, Gloria. You deserve a mention. Letters are by Chris Eliopoulos. Here's your here's your setup. The Emerald Knight and the Sentinel of the Spaceways come together in an epic adventure that will rock the heavens. Strange new villains never before seen in their universes pop up to cause chaos and destruction. Kyle Rayner, the last Green Lantern, must face off against the despot and former Herald of Galactus known as Terrax. Meanwhile, the Silver Surfer comes face to face with the cyborg Superman that destroyed Coast City. But this is only the beginning, as the cosmic beings known as Thanos and Parallax start manipulating the game board. So, like I said, this is the first and only crossover from my picks where the universes are actually separated. And there is a reason for that, which I will address at the end of the book.
And it's good. And you can do that with these characters. It makes perfect sense.
Of course, it makes perfect sense.
Perfect sense.
It is kind of wild to think about, but this issue actually made lasting changes to continuity, at least DC continuity.
Yeah.
For example, the Radu's coffee logo that Kyle designs in this comic is still in use in the DCU today. I think I saw it not that long ago.
Crazy.
This is also a prequel of sorts to Marvel versus DC and the character Access, which leads to Amalgam. And Access actually makes an in-universe appearance later on in the pages of Green Lantern.
This has to be very formative for that, right? There's no question.
Access is a character that is actually jointly owned.
No, I mean like this
by Marvel and DC.
But this issue has to be extremely formative for what happened with all the Amalgam stuff, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is a straight up prequel to Amalgam.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah, it is. Or to Marvel versus DC, at least. We get quick appearances from the Cyborg Superman and Terrax. I fucking love Terrax. I love him.
I love Terrax as well.
He's so great.
He's so dumb.
But they're just pawns in a larger scheme. He's big. He's gray. He never does anything of consequence.
Got an axe.
He looks cool as hell.
And they just the writer has to sell him every time he shows up. You know, because
he controls the earth. He's got a badass
just
axe.
Look at Terrax. You're like,
awesome.
Whatever. But the writer's like, oh my God, it's Terrax.
I know, right? Yeah. There's a bit here that I thought was kind of interesting where Kyle and the Surfer are both swayed by their counterparts' villains. Because why would you automatically assume that Parallax is a bad guy if you've never met him, right?
Sure. Terrax,
Kyle, though,
obviously a bad guy.
Well, Terrax is one thing. He's terrible.
No question.
Kyle, however, was wise to judge a book by its cover where Thanos was concerned. The second Thanos shows up, Kyle's like, I don't trust you.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Thanos, still horny for that walking skeleton with boobs, so he wants to destroy the entire multiverse.
She's stacked.
So death is the only thing left.
That girl is stacked. How can he resist?
Dude's got one. Has he ever tried just standing in her yard with a boombox? I mean, come on. In contrast to that, his whole deal is to restore everything to how he thinks it quote unquote should be. It's kind of a nice yin and yang. Mars knows all of these characters inside and out, and he should.
Oh, yeah.
Because he had lengthy runs writing both characters' solo series. His Kyle feels like it stepped right out of the pages of his own book because he more or less did. Like because they couldn't actually mention the Silver Surfer, but I wouldn't be surprised that if in Mars's mind, everything in this book is canon to Kyle's story.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
The Surfer's dialogue is deliciously melodramatic soul pain. It's very good. I even liked how Eliopoulos did his letters a little bit crazy.
Yeah. Like when he talks, it sounds different.
It does sound different, right? Yeah.
Same with Thanos, though. Like Thanos, like when he talks, his word bubbles are like red and black.
Yeah, they're like scratchy.
It's
gross.
Cool.
Yeah. So yada, yada, yada. Big cosmic battle. Day is saved. But there's a tease of something hidden away in an alley. A beaten up box A beaten up cardboard box bursting with unknown power.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
To be continued in the pages of Marvel versus DC #1. It doesn't say that, but it is, if you're curious to see where that pays off. Daryl Banks. He's probably one of the best cosmic artists of that era, and he's definitely one of the most underrated talents of the 90s.
Yeah, nobody knows this dude. He's so good.
Daryl Banks should have been a superstar, and he was popular while he was around, but then he just like disappeared. I don't know.
I assume he got a job that paid real money.
Probably, yes, probably so. The colors make all the jokes you want. The colors are really great. They're very vibrant and like they're
this whole book
almost
is like neon,
blindingly vibrant.
It's like neon yellow, neon green, neon pink.
Yeah, it's like, a lot, man.
It is glowing.
So, say what you will about Marvel versus DC and Amalgam, but Green Lantern Silver Surfer is definitely one of the best intercompany crossovers of the 90s. This one gets a buy it.
Yeah, I love this book. And I love this book
great.
Back in the day. The only thing I hated is this design of the Cyborg Superman. That is not this creative team's fault.
Yeah, they didn't want to keep him in the Superman costume because Superman
Cyborg
came back.
Superman. This one is so bad.
But what I loved most is that once Superman came back with the mullet, Cyborg Superman had to grow his own.
Sure.
mullet.
Yeah. Well, kind of a floppy mullet because he only
because he only has hair on the one side. Yeah.
What can you do? It's a buy it. I love this. I'm going to finish up with another dimensional smash up, Marvel Team Up, Volume 3, number 14, from Marvel, 2006. It's written by Robert Kirkman. You may have heard of him, with art by Corey Walker, colors by Bill Crabtree, letters by VC's Corey Pettit, and cover by Walker and Crabtree. The setup is easy. Invincible, in issue 33, fighting a bad guy named Angstrom. Angstrom has a dimensional belt.
Angstrom Levy.
He shoots it at Invincible and says, look, I can't beat you. I know that. But I can send you bouncing around dimensions until you get so beaten up that maybe when you do find your way back here, you'll be weakened, and then I can take you out. It's a great plan. And while that's happening, who does he meet? Spider-Man. Of course. Pops into the Marvel Universe. He's way too powerful for the Marvel Universe. And that's the thing we really focus on, is Spider-Man kind of giving him the, you're doing it wrong.
You can't punch Doc Ock into space. He's like, just a man.
That is just a guy. And I got to say, Kirkman's Spidey is pretty funny. He writes like really good Spidey.
This is our second time revisiting Marvel Team Up. And I find myself really enjoying it. Like at the time, it wasn't any great shakes, but going back to it now, it's a pretty fun book.
I think this book was more fun than people gave it credit for.
I agree. Yeah.
And Kirkman got to write a bunch of different stuff. And just the fact that Marvel was like, yes, bring your creation here and do it. Like, that's ballsy.
This was the Bill Jemas Anything Goes era. Yeah. And so there was no drama about, they were like, yeah, take your toy home when you're done. That's cool.
Sure. And I did like that. They were like Kirkman making fun of his own creations and stuff, like making fun of the design on Invincible. Spider-Man's like, what are you doing? Like
your costume kind of sucks.
He's like, it's like Gambit, but like weird.
The open hair thing. Yeah. Not even Cyclops does that anymore.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very funny.
I love that Invincible like lays out when they meet. They're just like, whoa, who are you? What's the deal? And Invincible's like obviously a kid. And Peter Parker's like, hey, are you all right, man?
He's a teen.
You're crying. And he's like, well, I'm worried about my mom, and this thing happened and this guy sent me through these dimensions and yada, yada, yada. And it's really bad. And Peter Parker's like, you're a good guy. Okay, come with me.
Sure.
It's like, because Pete knows he's bumped into these people.
That's something I think Kirkman doesn't get enough credit for, is that he's such a huge comic fan that he understands the shorthand of comics.
Yes.
And so he can do scenes like that where you don't have to have the whole, like, let's fight for 10 pages.
Don't need it. And it never happens here. There's
right.
just a
it's
scene.
Just like he knows how to get to the goods.
Right. But it goes both ways. Because when Invincible shows up, he looks and he's like, Dr. Octopus, you're the bad guy. Got it. I mean, like, no shit, he's the bad guy.
Right, yeah. And at first he's like, oh shit, I didn't hurt you, did I? And Spider-Man's like, he's trying to kill me. And then Doc Ock is like, you're going to rue the day.
Right.
Then it's over.
It's really well done, though. Like, the whole issue is sort of this fun meta take on the state of Image superheroes and how they operate and the state of Marvel superheroes in this new Avengers kind of world that Spidey's in right now. Like Avengers Tower.
Right, exactly. This is like the year before Civil War.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's living in Avengers Tower.
Right. MJ and May
living in Avengers Tower.
Aunt May both know that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. They're living in Avengers Tower and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cory Walker is really good. I don't think some of his Marvel characters are great. Like
some of his facial expressions are weird, and his versions of the Marvel characters.
His Cap is not great. Weird. His Iron Man is bad. His Iron Man's straight up bad. It just doesn't work. And I don't know if he was just kind of blown away or rushed or maybe a little outclassed. He was coming up, and he's getting better doing Invincible. His
Iron Man is.
It's bad.
Fine.
It's bad.
I mean, you barely see it. You only see it from like the waist up.
I know, but 2 or 3 times, and it's bad. It's stiff as hell.
The cap is bad.
He doesn't always draw like the lines on Spidey's costume when he doesn't have to, and like I get it, whatever. The book looks fine. The backgrounds are a little sparse and stuff, but they had fun with this, and you can see Kirkman working. And it is fun to see a character like Invincible meet a Peter Parker who sees something in himself in this character. He's just a kid. You can totally relate to him. This was way more fun than I remember this book being. I'm giving it a buy it. And I think they probably, of these crossovers, I think this one is probably the best executed, and it doesn't have to fuck around and explain a bunch of stuff. And it actually spun out of the Invincible book. That's great. That is great.
Yeah, I mean...
take note, Star Trek X-Men. This makes sense.
The thing about this one is that it wasn't really an event so much as it was a novelty.
It was an issue.
Right?
It was just an issue.
It's just a regular issue of a regular ongoing comic book that is part 2 of a story from another comic book that just happens to be published by another company.
Yeah, it's great.
And I think Kirkman did a great job incorporating the 2 characters. They fit very well together.
Sure.
The reason, like, it works so well because there's also like very low stakes. The only thing, the main thrust of the issue is get Invincible home. Like stopping Doc Ock is an afterthought because he's Doc Ock and Invincible like takes care of him in no time flat. I think that Kirkman's dialogue is very good. I think the jokes are very funny. There's a joke that he makes where he makes fun of Spider-Man's name. He's like, Spider-Man, you've got spider powers, and that's the best you could come up with. And so when he meets the Avengers, he starts to make jokes about what their names are probably. So it's like Flag Man,
right?
Robot Man, Shield Man. I think he calls Spider-Woman like Dracula Girl.
And when
he
gets to Luke Cage, he's like black guy.
And then he calls Luke Cage Black Man. and then the next time Luke Cage has one line in this book, and it's when the Avengers are walking away, and he goes, Black Man. He also calls back to a joke he makes several times in Invincible, which is that characters fucking hate it when flyers grab you by the armpits.
Yeah.
Stop grabbing me by the armpits.
Because it would suck. That would be horrible. It would suck.
And, the art is great. The dialogue is great. This is a success. It's a buy it from me.
He calls Century Fabio Man.
Fabio Man. Yeah, it's really good. It's a really good comic. Matt, before the Cosmic Long Box relieves us of our nerdy duties, we need to pick one of these crossovers to enter the THN Permanent Collection. Which one of these comics nailed the intercompany crossover?
I think part of nailing this crossover is giving me a good reason why these characters are together. And I don't think anybody did that better here than the Green Lantern Silver Surfer type. I mean, is it an easy one to do it with? Sure. But I would argue that new Teen Titans X-Men one should have been easy to do it with too, and you didn't. You didn't. So I'm going to give it to Silver Surfer and Green Lantern. That book was great. Best art we saw today, though, that Titans. Louis Simonson on that Titans book. Holy shit. That's great.
I think that, yes, that is a great example of how you bring characters together if the conceit is that they live in alternate universes.
Yeah.
I also think that, once again, you don't understand what makes something your favorite. Was it the best thing you read, or did you just like the mechanics of it?
I like the mechanics, and the story's great, and the art kicks ass.
Whatever,
and guess what?
Yes, it's good.
That story counts.
It's
and
very
led
good.
to bigger things.
I liked all of mine. I liked most of yours.
I like it when it counts. That's all I'm saying. I like it when it counts.
I'm going to give it to Teen Titans X-Men because, yes, their meeting doesn't make a lot of sense. Yes, they're there's a lot of it that doesn't make sense.
It don't make no sense.
The story is so great. The dialogue is so great. The art is phenomenal. It's the whole package, man. So for me, a plus, it was the biggest surprise because I'd never read it before.
I'd never read it before either. It was fun.
So yeah, Titans, X-Men, that's going to be my pick for this week.
Joey, time to have the THN Sanctum Sanctorum to discuss the new comics hitting your LCS next week. Not ours, but yours. Wednesday, November 13th. And we're going to make our must-read picks. Next week, we finally get the story behind the original 1980s Atari game Yar's Revenge in the pages of IDW's Yar's Rising. And I know we have both been waiting for this for more than 40 years.
Thank God. Am I right?
Do you want to make this our joint pick, or you got something else?
I'm going to go off on a tangent here. Sorry, bear with me. My must-read pick for next week is G.I. Joe #1 from Image Comics. It's written by Joshua Williamson with art by Tom Riley and Jordi Belair. It's 40 pages for $4.99. Here's your solicit. Series premiere. Thanks, Image. The biggest comic book launch of the decade. Conrad Hauser, codenamed Duke, has assembled a special force known as G.I. Joe to battle the rising power of the mysterious Cobra in the aftermath of the Autobots and Decepticons' arrival on Earth.
I would think Conrad Hauser is the name of a guy that kicks like sand in the face of Adam Sandler in a nerd movie. Or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. But the enigmatic Cobra Commander has unleashed the power of Energon like never before, featuring many familiar faces and the first appearance of an all-new character. This is the comic that will change everything you think you know about G.I. Joe. And that's only half the surprises in store from the chart-topping Energon Universe Dream Team of Joshua Williamson and Tom Riley. Would you like to play your little game? I will play along.
No, we don't have to play the game. And let's just lay it out. Like, look.
All right. So, obviously, I've been a huge fan of everything that the Energon Universe has been doing. This is the culmination of all of the buildup, the Transformers ongoing by Daniel Warren Johnson, plus the 4 G.I. Joe minis by various creative teams. I'm very excited to see Team G.I. Joe fully assembled.
Yeah.
This is by the creative team of the Duke series, and that book looked
outstanding.
It was and looked great.
Yeah. This book's going to be great. And if you're not reading G.I. Joe, you're missing. And I no longer believe that Void Rivals has anything to do with this.
No, it does. If you're not caught up on Void Rivals is in the mix. It's just, it's not.
Yeah, it's there. I'll give you that.
No. Transformers keep appearing. The gal from Cobra Law went out into space. And
I didn't know we got that far. Okay.
Yeah, it's
maybe I'll try and catch it.
Void Rivals is part of the mix, man.
Not loving it. My pick for next week is Arcbound #1 from Dark Horse. It's written by Scott Snyder and Frank Thierry, who we love.
Oh, boy.
Now, the reason I'm in, because it's developed by Tom Hardy. And Tom Hardy has never been attached to anything that I don't love. And that includes 3 amazing Venom movies, Joe. Art by Ryan Smallman, who is really good. 32 pages for $4.99. Here's your solicit. In a future where Earth has become a barren wasteland, Xenotech harnesses the unmatched energy of Coronium to assert its dominion across the stars. You know Hardy came up with those names. When Kai, a rising star mediator in Xenotech's army, gets an unexplained message from a mysterious entity, everything he thinks he believes is thrown into question and leaves him to explore what it truly means to be human in a world where the boundaries of technology and identity blur. The first comic developed by Venom and Mad Max's Tom Hardy. Now, that's not why I'm here. That's not why I'm pimping it. Pimping it because Scott Snyder. And as much as we make fun of Frank Thierry, he has written some things we have given a buy it in the last 5 years. And I think the two of them working together with a very talented artist and a pretty good idea here. Like, I'm in. Sounds like fun.
A celebrity, celebrity endorsement.
Tom Hardy.
This could be another Berserker.
It could be, but I think Tom Hardy just kind of like maybe belched and wrote this onto a cocktail napkin and was like, I've always had this idea for a comic.
I think Tom Hardy was having a bad allergy day and he looked at his bottle of Zyrtec and he went, "Oi, Cinetech."
No, I mean, whatever. Hardy came up with it. Doesn't matter. It looks great. It sounds like it's going to be fun. And I love Scott Snyder. He's on a tear right now. So I'm giving it to him.
Scott Snyder is on a tear right now. That is true.
Jeannie, hold on. Mom and Dad said I could play yours revenge. Who's getting even with who? You'll see.
Nerds, we typically review our picks on the new comic show, and so I've heard there's a new comic show next week. I don't know for certain, but we'll see. So if you want to read along with us, please put these comics on your pull file. Do it now. It might be too late. It might already be gone.
Yeah. Way to go. You missed out.
Excelsior.
That is it for Teach-In 759 next week. I wasn't kidding. New comic reviews return to the show, and we're going to give you a sneak peek of our Patreon extra. In the meantime, if you need more, you can join us for the Teach-In Gang Hang on Saturdays at 11 o'clock Central. We got plenty to talk about this Saturday. Check out our Discord for details. No politics, I promise. Okay? So if you're looking for a distraction from the world, we got something for you.
Yeah, I will pledge no politic talk.
Joe.
And if you're listening to this show and you're a regular attender of the Gang Hang, prepare yourself.
Joe Patrick, tell them what else they can do at our Discord.
I will, man. You can try to make some sense of Agatha All Along's finale with us. You can debate the logistics of a fight between Marvel zombies and characters with invulnerability.
And I know they were clever about some of them, but some of them I'm just not.
Yeah, some of them are just like, Luke Cage,
right.
Colossus.
Yeah.
And you can admire the creativity of the nerds who shared their Halloween costume picks with us last week.
Adorable.
Oh. Maybe you just want to answer the question of the week. This week's question, in honor of our Cosmic Longbox theme for this week, what's your favorite story featuring characters that meet across party lines, so to speak? In other words, your favorite intercompany crossover.
Mine's that one where Daredevil totally humps She on the cover. Oh, so hot.
Yeah, man.
Throwing it
Which is
up
weird
in there.
because he can't see, and so I don't know why he's always so like horny, because he can't like see shapely ladies.
Yeah, he can more than see him, Joe.
Oh, I guess radar sense.
Way more than see him. All right?
Yeah,
They're basically all naked, Joe. He's seeing it. He's getting a side that nobody else is getting, all right? Think about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please do keep your question of the week suggestions coming and sign up for our Discord with the link at twoheadednerd.com/Discord. We'll talk about your answers on this week's Gang Hang if we wanna. Sometimes you don't wanna, that's fine. If you don't dig on Discord, send an MP3 submission for the Comic Pushers, for Ask a Nerd, or for any of our segments to twoheadednerd@gmail.com. If you record that message, we'll put you on the show.
If you're new to the show and you're completely offended by us calling Daredevil a pervert, first of all, I want you to think about how many girls this dude is.
You have not read enough Daredevil.
Yeah, you don't know no Daredevil, but I assure you, if you listen to just a little more, you'll pick up on it. The good news is,
if you listen to a little more, you will find way better reasons to be offended.
the good news is you can hear the entire run of THN in our digital longbox archive at twoheadednerd.com. THN is a listener-supported podcast. It wouldn't be possible without the generosity of donors like our patron, Jay Albright, who I was today old when I found out Joe Patrick has a cousin by the same name, but he swears this is not him.
Hey, We don't know that for sure.
Okay, well, you should check in on your family every once in a while. Jesus, man. If you
We
like,
only know this J. Albright's first initial.
I see. If you like what you hear every week, it's easy to support the show. You can sign up to be a patron at patreon.com/twoheadednerd. Call your family. Tell them if you're listening to their show. Okay? It's just a nice thing.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, you should. I mean, I don't know if your family's going to care, but call your family. They probably need you. Before we go, our weekly shout out goes to everyone who exercised their constitutional right to vote in this year's election, regardless of the outcome. In a time where civil rights and bodily autonomy are constantly under attack, it is and was more important. Pardon me, it was and is more important than ever. And you know what? We did make some good strides in some areas. So, word to you, our fellow Americans, keep your heads up.
Until next time, true believers, remember to pre-order your comics, or your retailer might just put RFK in charge of what you're getting next week. This is the Two-Headed Nerd, signing off.
I don't even want to know.